right. Well, we're going to get started. Any questions before I get started? Those of you that are here. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to getting a seller off the fence? Is it listing the house? Is it getting them to sign a contract? I'd love to hear from you guys.
For me, Deborah, is mostly the price. Everybody thinks their house is worth $1 million. So it's like to agree with the selling price that will go,
Okay.
Yes, that's my challenge.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. So that's definitely a good one. Well, can everyone see my screen? Yes, no?
I don't see anything.
Okay, let me see. Like I said, I changed some settings yesterday, so I need to make sure I'm in possibly. Here we go. Let me get out of here. Why is it that I'm having trouble today? Okay, let me get in here. Where is it? All right. Give me 1 second. If I happen to lose you guys, I'll jump right back on. There we go. All right, you should be able to see it now. You see it now?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Micheline, Myrna, Sada, and Jill for joining us. I'm sure others will join us as we get started. I wanted to touch base on this topic because just like Micheline shared, many of you have issues when it comes to pricing. Others may have issues regarding actually getting them to sign the contract, as well as just getting them to realize, hey, we need to list this property. So with all that being said, I'm going to take you through these items and see some of the items. We are going to touch on pricing, although pricing itself is another class in itself, but definitely we'll touch on that as well as far as objection handling in general. If any of you have never been in my class, please make sure you go ahead and feel free to interrupt. Have your mics open. Love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, everything. So don't feel like you cannot discuss anything. Would love to hear your thoughts on everything, as well as if I'm going too fast or I say something you don't understand. All right, with that, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about getting sellers off the fence. And like we said, that's a decision that is really difficult for many, right? The decision to sell, the struggle is real. And the decision to sell can be a very daunting one. So we want to make sure that we listen to our clients, understand what are the reasons that we're having that issue with them being on that fence, right? So with that, the first step is going to be empathy. We have to be able to empathize. If you don't have empathy with the client, you're not going to get that listing and you're not going to get a win-win situation. So let's find out if it is pricing, like Micheline discussed at the beginning. Why is it that they're having a struggle? Is it because they're trying to reach their goals and they need a certain number? Is it because that's what their neighbor told them the house sold for? What is the reason? So we're going to listen with empathy. We're going to think about the fact that they are concerned and their struggle is real, even if we don't believe their struggle is real. But help them also look into the future. Let's find out what their goals are, right? Because sometimes knowing what their issue is, what their motivation is going to help us in realizing how we can help them. So what is their timing? What is their motivation? Those are the two most important factors. Do they have to close by a certain time? My sister called me last night. I'll share this real quickly with you. She is in Columbia, Maryland, and she's been there, I want to say 20, 30 years now. It's been a long time. And I guess it's 20 years. And she, prior to that, was moving every year because her husband was an active duty Marine. So she loved the fact that she was able to stay still in one place. And our family grew up, my dad was a US diplomat. So we grew up moving around a lot. So she was just so excited to be able to stay in one place. Well, yesterday she called me and there is a move, an impending move. So with that, it's a struggle for her, right? It's changing everything for her. So with that, we had to think about it, go through her emotions as to the struggle that she's going to be moving to a different state. Her husband's going to be going into a new job, that type of thing. So we had to ask the questions. Is there a timing deadline? What are your concerns? For her, it's, well, my house has to be winterized. I don't want to quit my job. I mean, there's so many different factors for her. And it's the same with any client. So let's find out what their motivation is. Let's find out what their timing is. And that's going to help us with the next step, which is going to be helping them envision the reason they're even moving. What are some of the reasons people move? Tell me. Guys, wow, we have a quiet crowd today.
My
job.
What was that?
A job, like working. maybe.
Job?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or it could be like in this photo, you guys are seeing the photo of this lovely couple, right? Hiking.
Right.
Okay. They might be deciding, hey, we're going to retire and we're going to hike and we're going to see the world. That could be their motivation, right? And if that's their motivation, help them envision that. Help them see that what that's going to look like. You know, we get your house sold, you're going to be able to go hike Mount Kilimanjaro, right? Whatever it is. Or perhaps it's that they just want to get rid of debt. They've been, taking the financial freedom course, and they want to get themselves out of debt. Well, help them see that as well, because it could be a situation where if they sell their house, they could downsize and be out of debt. So help them envision that. And then what are some of the other factors? I know this would be for me if my grandchildren moved. I mean, right now I'm an hour away from all of my grandchildren. If they moved, I have a feeling I'd be moving. So is it being near your grandchildren? Is it being near your children? Or even this is another situation that I had with my own father and my mother-in-law. They moved in with us. We were in a house that just wasn't good for somebody that had mobility issues. So for us, we literally got out of our old house, bought the house that we're in now to help be able to take care of my father because it had a master on the main. So whatever the reason might be, get to that point. Don't just say, oh, your house is worth this and let's go ahead and list it and that's it, right? No, we need to explain to or see what their reasoning is. And like we said, it could be a job transfer. When do you have to be at that new job by? Do you really want to be away from your family for that long? You know, if we don't sell your house in 45 days, are you okay staying by yourself? That type of thing. Now, we are people of senses, right? We have 5 senses, and with our senses, we experience and we feel. So we have the sense of vision, we have the sense of hearing, we have the sense of smell, we have the sense of taste and touch, right? You didn't know you were going to elementary school today, right? But with that, we want them to really experience all 5 senses as we are discussing where they're going. How would it feel to be with your grandchildren? Oh, how would it feel to touch that cute little baby and hold that cute little baby? Oh, wow. Can you imagine what the leaves look like when they're changing if you're climbing that mountain in Tennessee? Wow, can you envision that and not having to worry about going to work and really truly being retired? Or, wow, can you imagine not worrying about how you're going to pay the next bill? Do those things make sense, guys? I want to hear your feelings on what I've said so far.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, you want to relate to them, right? If it means, oh my gosh, do you remember what a baby smells like? Or what about that New York pizza? You move back to New York or Chicago. Hey, you got to eat that Chicago pizza, right? Deep dish pizza or the sandwiches. My sister-in-law's there now and she's talking about, I guess, the beef there. I don't know. I'm a vegan, so I'm the wrong person to talk about that. But they have some sandwiches in Chicago that are supposed to be like really awesome if you like beef, shaved beef, I think it is. So, talk about what is going to make them understand that the results of their actions will make them feel better and accomplish their ultimate goal. So, people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust, right? So most of the business out there when it comes to real estate is, oops, sorry, I had to go back a screen. Most of the people that have business in real estate are coming from referrals or people they know, right? Would you say that's fair? Would most of your business come from people you know or people that referred you? Yes, no, some?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and they trust you or they trust the person that referred you, right? So they need to see who you are. One of the biggest mistakes I think we make as professionals is we try to have this perfect persona when we go to the appointment, right? Make sure my hair is good, make sure my makeup is good. But guess what? They're people. And if they were referred to you by their friend who said, I go to the gym with her, or I go to, I play tennis with her. They want to see you for who you are when you're with that person. So don't try to make this persona. Be who you are, relate to them, find common ground. You'll probably already know something because they were referred to you, say Myrna says, hey, yeah, or if Myrna's friend says, you need to call Myrna because she really loves to cook and she makes the best lasagna. So then you've heard that they said that about you. Guess what? Make some lasagna, right? And take them a piece of lasagna. Or you hear that they have a smoker that they like to smoke, and so do you. Well, talk about smoking. I listen to my husband talking about smoking on his Traeger smoker all the time, and that becomes like the conversation of the day. Or my husband's a motorcycle rider. He's in a motorcycle ministry. So for him, it's motorcycles is a common ground if they found out that they both ride motorcycles, that type of thing. You get the point. Make sure that you are letting them feel and know who you are. Just going, like we talked about, going back to the senses. It's important that they know that you are trustworthy, because if you're not trustworthy and they don't see you for who their person that referred them to you is, they might not be really going to go for you, right? They still want to have a very good feeling about you. So they're going to usually hire you because A, you were referred, B, they know you and like you, or they know, or all three, or they know you're an expert in your field. So make sure that they see those three factors in you. Because if you go in with that suit and tie, or you're all preppy and you're not relating to who they are, you're probably going to lose them. They are looking for the person that is going to be entrusted with one of their most important financial decisions of their life. And never minimize that, guys. I see realtors that just got, or real estate agents that just got their license and they're going out there and listing properties, not really understanding. And for those of you that have been licensed for a while, I know Myrna has, I don't know about everybody else, but if you realize this is a learning, you're going to learn something new every day. Here's Myrna after years of being a licensed realtor, and she's in my class. You're learning every day. And the more you learn, the more of an expert you are. I go to classes every day because I need to know what I'm teaching you is right. So if you have a new agent that's just out there listing and not really understanding that they need to be an expert, that this person is going to entrust you with the sale of their house. Don't minimize that, guys. Remember that. They are about to trust you with their firstborn, basically, right? So it's important that you share your mission, that you share your vision, and you share your why. Why are you doing this? Is it just a paycheck to you? Because if it is, you're probably not going to get the listing. So you want to make sure that you're sharing all those factors. And if you don't know your mission, your vision, and your why, you better be at my class next week, because those are things that you must know in order to really be real and really succeed in this business. Again, with that being said, people will forget what you do. It's an anonymous quote. You've probably seen it a million times, right? People will forget what you said. People will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Does that make sense, guys? They call you because they know you. They call you because either you were referred to them or they call you because you're an expert. But this quote right here, I think encompasses everything. You need to make them feel comfortable. You need to make them feel like they can trust you and really know that they can trust you. And you need to make them feel that you are that expert. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to really maybe you might get that one listing, but you might not get that referral business. Now, of course, you need to create urgency. Just like I think it was Sada or Micheline that was talking about the pricing. Sometimes people are like, I'm just going to test the market, see what the market says. I need $1 million for my $400,000 house, right? Well, the way you're going to create urgency without wasting your time or wasting their time is understanding the facts. Share facts. Be aware and knowledgeable of every fact out there and share those actual facts in the current CMA. Explain that trying to anticipate what will happen is going to be a losing battle. If you know the current market statistics, that's going to A, prove that you're an expert, and B, it's going to show them that maybe asking $1 million for their $400,000 house is just not a good thing, right? It's going to waste everyone's time. And know these factors, know how the MLS works. Also explain to them, yeah, we can list your property, then take it off the market and then relist it to show as a hot listing. Guess what, guys? That doesn't work anymore. That used to work, but the MLS now still shows it to you, right? And it also still shows it if you Google the property. So trying to hide the history isn't going to work. So you need to know how everything works. Be the knowledge professional. Understand and explain to them how the CMA works. Understand how to do a CMA. If you don't know how to do a CMA, let's chat one-on-one, because you need to understand how to do a CMA and how to really explain to them that they can want whatever they want. And during COVID, that worked. But COVID was just an anomaly, right? We can't look at anything through COVID. For those of you that are realtors, you probably got a report in your email today from Georgia Realtors. Did anyone get that report today in your email? Or did you just maybe hit it and go to spam? Well, Georgia Realtors sends you an email with all the statistics and reports every month. That is a great tool for you guys. It tells you everything. In fact, I have mine right here because I had just printed one for one of the counties. You can go county to county. And I know it's hard to see, but you can go and look at it. It tells you everything from days on the market, everything, and it's a really good report. You need to memorize this. You need to do it daily. Go into your MLS daily and do it. And we're going to do a class, I think it's in 2 weeks, about that. But you've got to be able to really spit those facts out of your mouth and understand. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the pricing objection and any objection in the sense that nobody likes to lose, right? And when you are being taught objections, you're normally being taught objections under the premise of, hi, Natalie, you're usually being taught objections under the premise of gain. They're usually teaching you, if you tell them, if you list with me, you're going to get this, this, and this, right? Well, guess what, guys? There is a book. If you haven't bought this book or read this book in the past, I recommend that you do. It's called Sway. Has anybody heard of it? No? Yes? Speak to me. I'm getting something off my printer.
No.
Heard of it, and I heard it was really good, but I haven't ventured out to purchase it.
Yes, get that book. It's really good. And I'm going to read to you a little bit from it. And it says, well, it's really more of a summary on a couple of the topics. But like I said, anytime you have an objection that you're being taught through real estate, it's usually under the premise of gain. Like I said, if you list with me, you're going to gain this service. If you list with me, you're going to gain my experience. If you list with me, you're going to get a team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you to rethink it. And this is why. And the book Sway is what makes me, and I've always done this because I'm probably irrational, because the book is called is about irrationality. But that is where you're going to succeed. So what it says is that nobody likes to lose. And to avoid the feeling of loss, we tend to act irrationally. So we like to think of ourselves as logical, rational beings, right? Who here thinks of themselves as irrational? Anybody? I doubt that, right? None of us think of ourselves as irrational. But the truth is that humans behave irrationally. So even experts, even pilots, even surgeons, they all make mistakes, right? We're human. But what is the motivation behind that irrationality? Well, in short, we don't like to lose. So our fear of loss, or what Sway calls loss aversion, is what makes us act irrationally. So think about this. This is a really good point that it talks about. The feeling when you lose is much stronger than the feeling of joy or winning. Have you ever thought about that? When you lose something, say you lost a listing, let's keep it in real estate terms, you get really upset, right? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I get that listing? What did they think? I'm so much better. Whatever. But you tend to get more upset, right? Than when you get the listing. The joy or the feeling is greater when you lose. Or what if somebody tells you the sky is blue, but you don't like that person? The sky is gray, right? When that person tells you. But if it's a person that you admire and like, the sky is blue as can be. Does that make sense, guys, so far? We're irrational. So our sensitivity to the changes in the price of an item illustrates this. So I'm going to paraphrase this, but there was a professor from the Department of Agriculture. His name's Daniel Putter, I think it is. And he was studying egg sales. Do you guys remember when the egg sales were like just crazy prices?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right? Well, what did everyone do? They all went and bought everything off the shelves or bought their own chickens, right? Because they were afraid that there wouldn't be enough eggs or the price would go up even more, right? Guess what? When the prices decreased, and this was a true study, when the prices decreased, the sales barely increased. But when the prices increased, the sales went exorbitantly high. Does that demonstrate the fear of loss? So when the price felt like it was going up, or it was going up, even though you were paying more, you felt that you were losing money if you didn't get those eggs now because you were worried about where it was going to go. Or what about when gas prices go up? Everyone jams to the gas station, right? And fills their gas tanks because guess what? Prices are going up. So you're in the fear of losing more money. So you go ahead and put more gas in your car. Or who's here? Have you ever been on a cruise or traveled and gotten travel insurance? Why do you get travel insurance? Why do we get life insurance? Why do we get insurance? Now, life insurance makes sense, but travel insurance, we are fearful that something's going to change or that we're going to lose money if we don't buy that travel insurance. When the reality is, even if you really read through the fine print, you're probably not going to win on that one. Same with rental car insurance. You rent a car at such a great price, and you get there and they tell you, well, your car insurance isn't going to cover you if you mess this up, and you end up buying that extra car insurance, don't you? And why do you do that? From the fear of losing more than you could lose. So basically, that fear of loss is what makes you reconsider everything. So how am I going to relate this to real estate? How do you think? Make them understand what they might be losing. Now, don't push them because you are an advisor. You don't want to push them to the point that they just see you as this pushy salesperson, right? But you definitely want them to understand the fear of loss. And when I say don't push them, you're going to send them the wrong message. But if you help them understand what they could lose, that's where you're going to win. So whether it be pricing, whether it be the hesitation on signing a contract, help them understand what's on the other side of that fence. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you realize that if we don't place your house on the market today, we don't know what next year is going to bring. Just like those egg sales, the prices could be down. What you might be getting 400,000 today. We don't know what a year from now is going to be. So, how many milestones will your grandchild have gone through in that year? Obviously you don't want to be mean about it, but make them think. How many pizzas could you have eaten in that year? How much value do you put on that family time that you're trying to get to? I think about my other sister. She's an attorney, and she had some amazing plans. She and her husband built a law firm together. They were both attorneys, and their intention, and I apologize, I see some chats there, guys. So their intentions were that when they got to be a certain age, they were going to retire, sell their law firm, and travel the world. Great intentions, right? So they worked, and they worked. 4 years ago, he got sick, the husband, and regrettably, 3 years ago, he passed away. I hadn't seen my sister in a while, and I just was there a couple weeks ago. And she's like, it's not supposed to be like this. We were supposed to be traveling. Help them through true stories. And that is a true fact for me, for my sister. And we all have those stories that we can relate to. We don't want to have regrets. Help them see the value in moving forward versus staying where they are. That's going to create the urgency. Additionally, when it comes to price, so you want 400,000. I get that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. But let's look at what the true facts are telling us. So if we price it at 400,000, when in reality, the price point should be 375, for that extra $25,000 price that you'd like, do you realize that we could end up actually losing money? Because the fact is that a buyer's not normally going to pay above that unless we're in a COVID situation. So those first 2 weeks of them on the market are the most important weeks. And if we overprice the home, you could potentially be wasting time and losing that real buyer that may have missed your house based on the price you put on there. What's important to you? Is it important to you to get to Chicago to eat that pizza? Is it important to you to be near those grandchildren? Is it important to spend every day like your last one today? Make them understand the value and creating that urgency. Because the more you do that, the more they're going to see it. So the average U.S. homeowner right now possesses more than $274,000 in equity. That's up from 182 before COVID. And according to CoreLogic, that's the case. So what does that mean? Well, basically it means that most homeowners, unless they bought during COVID, have equity and are going to make money when they sell their home, right? So again, show them the positive, but make sure you're creating that urgency. Now, like I said at the beginning, you need to know your facts. And right now, what is everyone saying? Everyone is saying the market is down, right? Who here, put it in chat, really believes that the market is down? Anybody? Put yes or no if you believe the market's down in chat. No, no. Okay. Do you believe inventory is down? Yes or no? Put it in chat. No? Okay. Anybody? No, no. Okay. Do you believe median list price is up or down? Put up or down. Okay. And I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you believe our sales price is up or down? Okay. So let's look at what the actual facts are nationally. Granted, when you're talking to a seller or buyer, make sure that you're staying hyper local. Try to go as close in as you can. So look at this, compared August 2023 to August 2022. Couple aha moments, I'm sure. Look at those. Median list price, $435, $450. In 2023, August 2022, it was $432. Granted, this is national, guys. Average listing price, $760. So you see it there. Know these numbers and know the numbers based on your hyperlocal area. You have access to this through NAR if you're a realtor. If you're not a realtor, you have access through your MLS. But know these numbers. Information is power. And the biggest thing is you need to control the narrative, because otherwise they're going to be listening to the media. They're going to be listening to everybody else, right? Like we've talked about this in many, many sessions, many classes, many chats, but we've talked about one of the biggest objections being, well, I don't want to buy or sell right now because interest rates are up, right? Sellers don't want to sell because they don't know where to go because of the interest rates being up. And they also feel that buyers aren't buying because of the interest rates, right? Anybody disagree with that? That's an argument we hear? Not that you believe in it, but that's an argument. So since we hear that, we need to be able to control that narrative. And taking what you've learned today, the fear of loss, you want to think about, well, I get that you're concerned about not selling right now because interest rates are high and buyers are not buying as much. But Mr. Seller, if you wait a year and interest rates do drop, inventory is going to go up. And at that point, you're going to be competing with way more and your price may go down. Again, bring in that fear of loss, that loss aversion. Get to know how to deal with loss aversion. That book Sway is really, really good on that. So make sure that you are understanding that. So in summary, you want to empathize. And when you're empathizing, you are understanding what their motivation is. You are understanding who they are, what they want, what they're looking for, as well as letting them get to know you during that process. You want to feed them facts because you want to make sure that you're feeding them true facts so that you are known as that expert. You want to feed, you are the expert and you want to connect. Show them that through those facts. Each one's going to play upon each other. You want to create that urgency with that loss aversion and understanding that time is of the essence. And we didn't talk much about in a contract situation, but again, in a contract situation, explain to them that time is of the essence, loss aversion. You don't want to lose that buyer because you're thinking this through too much. What are the facts that you still have to think through? Try to be that detective and figure that out. And be the advisor, not the salesperson. The more push that you give, the more resistance you're going to get, right? Just like in my workouts. So make sure that you're doing that. You guys know where to go for the classes. They're max1training.com. September 29th is business planning. You want to make sure you're signing up for that today. If you don't have a business plan for 2024, now's the time to do it. Make 2024 your year. These are the compliance chats that are coming up. They are being put in max1training.com now so that you can see them. Also, when you go to Max One Training, and let me get you something else here too. When you go to Max One Training, you'll see a link with the PowerPoints that I can share. Additionally, I'm going to give you a link in chat. Give me one second. Where is it? Here we go. Go ahead and I want you guys to make sure you put this on your bookmarks. Give me one second. And make sure this is right. I believe. No, this isn't the right one. Sorry, I almost gave you my husband's. I don't want to do that one. Give me one second. I want to give you my YouTube channel with all the videos in there. So that way you can see them immediately. All right. So that's going to be, let me find that for you. Here we go. Well, I'm going to put it in just a second because I keep finding the wrong one. But anyway, any questions while I'm looking for that? No questions
I don't have let me make a comment.
or comments.
I have been observing. Let me say this. For me, I'm having a hard time on pricing. And I was going to be in a class today, but they canceled it. That talked about, pricing strategies because I'm kind of off. I'll admit I'm kind of off because I've seen houses in my neighborhood come up and I'm like, there's no way in the world that house is going to sell for that. And it does. And I am just, and I go back and I look at the data. I'm like, I don't know where the appraisal got that from. They must have gone way out. And I'm not as confident as I used to be on what a house will sell for.
Now, have you checked, and great comment. Thank you for bringing that up. Have you checked on the sales to see if these were cash or what type of financing were in the areas that you were in?
Yes, they were some were FHA, some were conventional. One house, the house sold for they only had the house for 2 years, I think less than 2 years, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
And they got an extra 170,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, where did they get the comps from? And it was listed for one price and they even went up $15,000.
That is interesting. Well, what I can do, and let me see. Oh, hang on a second. Let me see what time. Well, we have time. Let me go ahead and do it real quick. I want to see how you're coming up with the comps, and let's see if I can teach something different. It might be the same. And here's the thing we have to remember, that once a comp sells, if a buyer is willing, and let me ask you this, and by the way, the link is in chat now. Have you asked the agents whether they had any appraisal issues, whether a buyer paid above appraisal on those particular houses?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
No.
so that would be the first question I would ask, because you want to see if perhaps they let me see, perhaps they went ahead and paid above list or above appraised. And if they did, then the reality is that becomes the new comp, right? So that's something that we always tell the buyers too, that if by chance you choose to pay above the price, because you're going to live there for the next 20 years, then the reality is, yeah, you're paying more than you should today, but you don't care, then that's fine, because that's going to become the new comp and you're going to have created new value there. So some buyers don't care and do that. But I'm about to share my screen to see how you did it. There's so many different ways of running comps. And I would also try to see if you can find out who the appraiser was, and also try to see if there's any way anybody or an appraiser could kind of tell you. I would take an address of the one that got more and ask the appraiser in our office, hey, how do you think they came up with this? But the first thing, and I don't know if this is how you're doing it, but let's go ahead, and I do things a little differently even than my husband, but I'll take this, I'll go residential, and y'all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
You're seeing FMLS?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to hit select all, but I don't. Okay. Give me your address, Myrna, if you don't mind, or somebody's address in your neighborhood, and I'll do this. Myrna. Did I lose Myrna?
Getting this on mute.
Oh.
Right, 4441.
Whoops, hang on a second.
4441 Meadowwood, Meadowwood.
Okay, Meadowwood. Not that one, right?
No, it's in Loganville. You got two W's?
I thought I did. 4441 Meadow. Is it two separate words?
No. Oh, no, the zip code is 30052. It's in Loganville
Okay, and it's Meadowwood what? Drive?
Drive.
Let's see if it comes up. There we go. All right, so now I've selected that. How many bedrooms?
Oh, that particular house?
Mm-hmm.
That particular.
Well, it's going to be at least 3. You think it's 4?
Yeah, it's more. It's 4 or
Okay,
5.
so I'll put 4.
Okay.
And probably what, 3 baths?
Yes.
All right. And do you know approximately what year it was built?
Oh. No, I don't.
Okay. Normally, if say for instance it was built in 2000, I'll take 10 years back and 10 years forward. So say it was 2000, I would have taken 1990 through 2010.
Probably like maybe 215 maybe.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's take 2005 to now. So we'll just say 2005 plus. And let's also, is it a 2-story or is it a ranch?
No, it's a 2-story. It's 2-story. The
Okay.
basement is finished, and
Basement is finished. Okay.
you
So
talking about my house or the house I'm talking about in my neighborhood?
the subject, whichever one's subject that I just used, 4441. Well, we'll just do it with what we have so far. I'll put in more information if I have it.
Okay.
Now,
it's the one right here that sold for 730.
okay. So it's what is so it's Sterling Oaks.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the other thing I'll do is I'll go in here and try to see if I can
Wait.
get enough comps with just the subdivision.
You won't be. It's not that many houses in here to
Okay.
do that. So they
I'm
had
just
to go outside.
yeah, but I'm gonna no, I found 4. Let's see what we found. Because I like to try to do so we have 4. So we have 3 sales within the last 6 months, within a mile. So these 3 right here are definitely going to be considered comps. They have to use the ones in their subdivision first. So we have, so it's a 6-bedroom. So 6.5. So the 2 sales that sold, one was a 5.4 and one was a 4.3.5. However, the one that sold for 730 was built earlier. It looks like 2006, whereas the other 2 were brand new, or not brand new, but much newer. So this is, of course, an easy comp right here in the sense of I'm just going to do a quick comp just to see what it tells us. I don't go by this, but I'll do a quick CMA like this. I'll take that info. Let's see what it tells us. So it tells us that the average would be 673. Granted, we're trying to figure out why that one went to 730, right? Is what I'm assuming.
And it has a swimming pool, but I just can't imagine it's worth
No, swimming pool will give it some, but not much more. So so just taking those 2, for instance, which of course are going to use a minimum of 3. So they would have gone back a little bit further to do the comp on that one. But so this gives us an average of maximum of 559. So let's take a look at what we have here. So the square footage on these were, okay, so basically we have 122, 150. So let's say 150. So now what I would do is I would take the square footage of that one at 730. So that one was at 150.
Mhm.
And of course, you're not going to count the basement in the same price point. So we want to do just above grade. So 3277
Mhm.
times 150 gives us 491,550. But we do have below grade 1500. So let's assume, so now we have, I'm going to put it in chat just so I have it here, 491,550. So then we would have 1500. Do you know what the basement looked like in that one?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was
Okay.
yeah. So it's probably
So so an appraiser will take it if the basement was done to the same degree as the rest of the house.
Mhm.
It depends on the appraiser, but they could in theory have valued it at the same price. So is that the base? No, that's not the basement. I'm trying to find the basement. So if they did give it to it at the same price,
Manu, put that down. Put that down.
let's see, 1500
That's
times
enough.
150. That would give it another 225 right there.
So now we're in the 7s. Okay.
Yeah. And not only that, they would have also been able to give it, depending on the comps. Let's go back to the comps.
Mhm.
They could have also taken it based on the condition. So they were all brick frame. I'm just trying to see if they were all brick. Yeah, so they're all brick. So that wouldn't, because if say one was brick and one was stucco, then there would have been an additional amount given for that.
Mhm.
They might have given up to 25 to 30,000 on the pool. So let's see. So 491,550 plus 225 plus, oops, hang on. What did I just do? 491,550 plus 225. So right there, we're at 760, 16 plus another 25,000. Yeah.
Okay.
So they probably didn't even do it at the 150. It's very rare for them to take the below grade at the same price. It's usually going to be up to 75%. So let's see what it would look like at the 75%, which would have been, we had said 150. So 150 times 0.75 is 112. So 112.50 times 1. So that would be 168,750. So 168,750 plus 491,550. That's at 660. So they probably did it somewhere between the 75 and 100% of the rest of it because of the condition. And then they could have put some adjustments based on the square footage of the location. I didn't look and see what their lot size was, though that's not going to be as much value. But yeah, I mean, they definitely, and because, well, when was this one built? This one was built 2006, I think we said. No,
That
well,
was,
the original one,
oh, I don't know.
this one, 2006, I believe it was built. Yeah, 2006.
Okay.
So yeah, there. But to me, yeah, I can see where it appraised. What?
Maybe you need to teach us a CMA class because
Yeah,
I
you know,
just then. So well.
yeah. The thing with CMAs is what people tend to do, just to kind of show you, is more than likely you wouldn't take it as hyper local as I just did. They probably would just do 3243. You need to make sure everything's in the same school district. You need to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Where I see problems, like one of my most proud accomplishments is I was actually able to fight a VA appraisal and won, which is unheard of. So that was like my yay moment. But because you have to understand how the appraisals are done. And remember that an appraisal's value is an opinion of value. So one appraiser may appraise totally different than another. But now that one's there, yeah, your house has nice equity now in it, Myrna.
These my taxes going up some more again.
That is true. And that is the part people don't get. I see a hand up. Jill, go ahead. Jill, go ahead and unmute yourself. Jill, do you have a question? I don't hear you. All right. Well,
Done it by mistake.
yeah, you might have. Oh, there she is. Jill, I can't hear you. Your mic is off. You might not have your mic on. You want to type it in chat? But yeah, unfortunately, CMAs can be, and you're right, I probably should do a class on CMAs, but it's one of those things that some of them are really difficult. Coming from Miami, where everything was cookie cutter, it was so easy. But here, yes, you've got to make sure it's in the same school district. I had one client years ago that was adamant that her house was worth more. And when I started looking at the comps and speaking to the appraiser, the issue was that she was in Snellville, but across the street was Lawrenceville. I mean, she was in Lawrenceville, across the street was Snellville, or vice versa, but she was using houses from literally a different city. And it changed the school district. It changed all sorts of things. And she's like, it should be higher. But no. And remember that appraisers are not they're going to do their best to stay within a mile. They're going to do their best to stay within the subdivision. And they will most likely not go past that 6 months unless they have to. And they're going to try to use like houses. Well, Jill, I don't see your question. You're welcome to call me if you have any questions. I'll put my number in chat. And I want to respect everyone's times before I'll stay on for a minute or two. If anybody has any additional questions or any burning questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, you have a wonderful day and take a look at the classes, sign up, and I hope to see some of you guys at my business planning class next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Debra.
You're welcome. Bye. Jill, if you can hear me, I put my phone number in the chat. Feel free to call me.